and live stream. So please be ready. We're going to start, and let's give another 2 minutes for people to join. I just wanted to make sure that the email that goes out, there's a few people still that needs to join. And those who are watching on Facebook live, well, welcome here. I see more people are joining. Please let us know in wherever the chat box is, where you're from, what you are doing, and it would be great to learn from you as well. To see, what industry you are in. That would be great. I've noticed a few are from different industries, and it would be great for those who show up today to see what industry you are from. Okay, so let's just make sure everyone is joining. I see one or two struggling to join. So let's just give another minute if you all don't mind before we kick off. Okay. Good morning, Amanda. Nice to have you here as well from Exponential Brilliance. Joan, welcome, Leanne. I see everyone is joining. Let's give it just 1 more minute, and then we're going to make sure that we can start. Today, we have an interesting topic that we're going to talk about. For those who are watching the live stream so long, today we are with Hilton Johnson from Compliance Hub, a group of companies that does all of your compliance. And today, talk, if I'm correct, is all about how to the difference between an investor and a partner in your business. And I think that is important. We need to know where an investor sits and how a partner works in our business. And also, does your business need some help with cash flow? I think, as a business coach, one of the biggest challenges for most businesses is they don't look after their cash flow. And I think Amanda, that's on the call as well, as an accountant, will know that, that's the biggest killer of any business today if they are run out of cash flow. And so, yeah, this webinar is for you today to come and learn, how to up your cash in your business, plus also the difference between partnership and investor. I also welcome Andre. Andre, can you just pop me in? I've seen you on a few of the calls. Where are you from? I see we've connected on LinkedIn, but I think you from another part of this world. So that would be amazing to see. Thank you for you joining as well. Okay. Everyone has 12. Let's kick it off. As people are joining, that's fine. They will just jump in. And for those who are watching on social media, thank you for being here at another 12 o'clock lunch session with Hilton Johnson, the expert of today. And as you noticed, Hilton has done a few sessions now and is going to do a few more sessions as his time commits to be able to bring value and to bring advice. And you're also all welcome to reach out to him. We will be putting all of the details in the chat box at some point, and we also will be sending out the recording. So if you don't get the recordings, you're welcome to reach out to us. You just need to reply on the Zoom link that you received, or you need to go to St. Taryn. I'm just going to put it in the chat box at kobusvisser.com. Very easy. Taryn is on the call this morning, but you're welcome to reach out and we will be able to get the recording to you. So what we are doing, just for interest sake, we are complying. We're busy building a lunchtime with Hilton recording list. So what we're doing is we're putting it all together. And so at one point when Hilton is ready, we will share it, and then you'll be able to access all of his lunchtime sessions over the past month or two that he has done, and you will be able to go back in time. You will also most of the slideshows is available to you as well. So this is all about giving value. This is all about empowering. And so again, thank you for showing up. I see you are from Malaysia, Andre. So nice to have you all the way from Malaysia. Hilton, you have an international audience today. And so it's so nice to have you here, Andre. Andre, if you guys have any questions, Rian, Leanne, everyone in the participants, please welcome to put in the chat box. Hilton will be available here towards the end of his presentation to be able to answer any questions that you might have. Okay, everyone. Hilton, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And again, another 12 o'clock lunch session. And I believe looking at what you've prepared, it's going to be full of value. Just unmute yourself, Hilton. Sorry about that. So, you, there it
Okay,
is.
we got some sound.
We got some
Welcome
sound.
everybody. Thanks for your time this afternoon. Please feel free, as per usual, to cut in and ask any questions. It's quite a mouthful that we're going to go through today. So I think you're going to have a lot of questions, and I think the question that always goes with any business entrepreneur is how much money do I need and what do I need it for? And any investor coming into your business wants to know that. Are they going to lend you, borrow you a couple of 100,000 rand, and you're going to pocket it and buy yourself a new car and run for the hills? Or are you actually going to invest the money in the business and get something going? And I think one of the big questions that always comes up is, what do you want the money for? Do you have a decent business plan that can actually tell you what you want? So a little bit of humor to start the day for you. I met a guy walking this morning and he said, "Hey Paul, you look rejected today." He said, "Damn, I'm in trouble." Paul said, "I need cash for my business and I've no idea where to get it from." "I'm so glad to hear that," I replied. "I was afraid you might think you could borrow the money from me." And I think that is the bottom line of any business entrepreneur. Everybody is scared to ask somebody for money and tell them what the situation is on their finances as far as their company is concerned. So you'll find a lot of companies or a lot of entrepreneurs have a great idea of how much money they need, but they don't really know what it is. And climb on anything that is going to get the money going for themselves. And an investor doesn't like that. They're looking for certainty and they want to know what's going on. So entrepreneurs normally have a vision of how they want to run their business. So you've got a great idea, you know what you want, you know how you're going to get there, you've got a great product, a great service, but you don't really understand the system and the procedure behind it. So achieving this vision means that they need to choose their best type of a business partnership structure and a partner that buys into their vision. I can't stress for you in more certain terms of saying that the choice of your business partner or your financier within a business is what will make or break you. If you're going out and you're borrowing a million rand for a business, heaven forbid the fact that you go and spend 20,000 rand on a dinner that night, because your financier is not going to be happy about that. Or you paint out your offices. And it's a case of you have to be frugal with that money, but you have to be smart with it, or you end up in conflict. So what are the different types of ownership structures that you can put in within your company? And the next session I'd like to do for you is actually choosing your partner correctly from a BE perspective. Without a BE partner within your business or a BE structure within your business, you're going to struggle to get listed in a lot of outlets. And your BE certificate today is your key to getting there. So I'll go through that very briefly next week, just with a very short session of giving you some options that are available. So a partnership is a business shared by multiple owners. That's what it is. You've got owners that are partners in your business that decide on what you want to do. If you go into business with another person, without filling in any paperwork, you're automatically in a partnership. And a lot of people don't understand that. What is a partner versus an investor? Another important one. A partner is an individual that plays a significant role in owning, managing, and or creating a company. An investor is a person or an organization that provides capital to a business with the expectation of a future financial return. So Quibus comes to me and he says, "Hilton, I need some cash in the business. I'm going to, will you invest in my business?" And I say, "Sure, I'll drop 100,000, a million rand into your business. What return am I going to get on that?" And that's where the hard conversation starts. So partnership agreement is always, if you haven't got the paperwork in place before you get the money, it's always going to end up in conflict. One of the first businesses that I ever opened, I never had a partnership agreement, and the guys arrived. We got the business up to a 37 million rand a year turnover company, and the guys arrived in my office one day and said, "Oh, by the way, we've sold the business. You've got 24 hours to get out." And I never had a leg to stand on. And that was a bitter pill that I'd learned. They were guys that I thought I could trust. They were guys that I thought they had the same interests as I had, but they were investors and they wanted their money out. And I ended up taking loans on my credit card to pay off staff that they just walked away from the business. Don't end up in that situation. You need to understand what the terms are, what the conditions are, what the time period is. If there's a repayment, what the repayment is. If there's an expectation on the investment, what that is going to be. So what is the name of that partnership? The business that the partnership will be involved in, what is it specifically? Are you having multiple companies, but you only want money for one of the legs within that business? The roles and responsibilities of each partner. Will they be needed full-time, or can somebody come in on a part-time basis? How will the profit and losses be shared amongst the partners? So often you'll find a guy taking a 20% share in your business, an individual or a company. That means that 20% of the working capital is their responsibility, not 100% of it. And that often doesn't come out. So I'll take a majority share in your business of 51%. But that means I only put in 51% of the profit of the working capital, and it also means I only take 51% of the net profit after tax in the dividend form out of the business. Is it agreed that for the first 6 months there will be no profit share and there will be no dividend, or the first year? Or is the investor expecting a monthly return on that business? Because these all have a massive effect on your working capital within the company. Which of the partners will have check and purchasing rights? So can I, as a partner owning 49% or 50% of the business, just write out checks? And to what value? Can I strip the company of its value before you know what's happened and buy myself a ticket to Australia and disappear? Other specifications that might be unique to your startup: licensing fees, financial agreements, trying to just think of all the things that might affect you. Licensing agreements, patent rights. Who's paying for all of those? Is that coming out of the working capital, or is that going to be a down payment on this? CapEx, capital equipment that is needed within the company. Partnerships are ideal when you have an idea and people with different compatible resources. It's easy enough to start and offer a fair amount of freedom to the partners. With the right combination of partners, there's no reason why a partner won't take off. So to have a strictly financial partner within that is looking purely at the finance within your company and how much money you're spending, how much you're taking out as a salary, how much you're spending on petrol, flights, accommodation, all the rest of it, might not be the ideal partner if they actually don't understand the business. Also, might not be the right partner if you're looking for advertising and you're looking for in-store demos and sampling campaigns. They're not going to see a return on that money, so there's going to be unhappiness coming with that. Since most investors get their money back from the sale of a company to another business, investors think a lot about how big a company's valuation can grow over a period of time. In general, angel investors expect to get their money back within a 5 to 7 year period, with an annualized return rate of a region between 20 and 40%. So what that means is I'll invest in your business for 5 years, 6 years, or 7 years, but after 7 years, I'm going to sell the business, or we're going to agree now to sell the business, and I'm expecting a 30% return on the capital that I'm going to put in over the 5 year period. Where does that leave you in a 5 year time? Have you written into your escape clause that you will go with the business? It's fine if you're young and you're doing this at the age of 30 and you're looking at the age of 35, I can get out and I can pocket a bit of money and maybe settle my bond. But what happens if you're 55 years of age and that by the age of 60, you're going to be unemployed? Will that be enough money for you to sit back and retire on for the rest of your life? If it's not, you need to put that in and you need to have a clear expectation of what you're wanting out of the business. Investor contracts are really important to put in. An investor backs the jockey and considers the horse. A partner will look at both the horse and the jockey. So if you're going to fall off the horse, will the horse still get to the end line? And you need to make clear what is your objective, what is the criteria that you're putting down on the table. Return of investment is always a prediction or a forecast. Now, I can give you spreadsheets, and any accountant can give you a spreadsheet to make your financials look as good or as bad as you want them to. You've got to be realistic. It's crystal ball stuff. So if you borrowing a huge amount of money, and you think you can repay this back over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And with that repayment, you will have enough working capital within the company. And it doesn't work out that way. You're going back to your investor. And you're going to say, you know, that money that I lent or borrowed from you wasn't enough. I need more. That relationship is automatically soured because that investor might have multiple business interests and not a bottomless pot of money. So be realistic in what you're expecting your business to do. Don't make it look so flowery and a blue sky investment that you know you will never achieve. And you'll find a lot of guys will say, well, you know, I can sell, the average household will use 5 of these a month. So if I can get 1,000 customers, that means I'm going to sell 5,000 of these a month. I'm making a 30% return on my product. So 5,000 times the 30% times 12 months, it doesn't work that way. Reality is you don't have a customer at this moment in time, but you're expecting to get to 5,000. And your investor is not stupid enough to look at that and say, oh, well, this is a blue sky investment. I'm easily going to do it. So start small and ramp it up, but leave place in your investment for future growth. It's fine if you're only in Pick n Pay and you're spending, for argument's sake, 100,000 Rand a month in distribution. But if you're going to Pick n Pay and ShopRite Checkers, it's not going to double your distribution cost. It might treble your distribution cost. So have you built that cost into it, considering you're going to be waiting for 60 days from date of invoice or date of statement for your money, which is 90 days. So you're tying up working capital, you're tying up running costs for a 90-day period before the retail trade will pay you. And that can cripple a business very, very quickly. The amount of risk is proportional to the reward. Investment contracts need to deal with uncertainty in some way, and one way is to offer a deal sweetener to allow balancing of the relatively unfavorable risks. What do I mean by that? So to say, well, we're going to have entrenchments. If we do a turnover of R1 million, this is the sweetener. If we do it of 2 million Rand, this is the sweetener. If we do it of 4 million Rand, this is the sweetener. And that could be a buyback clause or clawback clause for yourself to get shares back from your investor. So let's assume an investor wants 60% of your business to put in $1 million, and you're doing R1 million a year projection on your turnover. Ask directly, if I do 2 million Rand, how much will you give me back in my share value? Will you give me back 10%? And if I do 3 million, will you give me back another 30%? So then we reduce it to 60%. And it's a case of working out what is the amount of money that your investor is going to make. If your investor was in for a 30% return per annum, and you're suddenly giving him 90% per annum, there should be a pro rata clawback for you in that deal, that you can get some of your shares back. The basic structure of an investment contract is really simple. Include the same elements required for any agreement to make it legally binding and protect both parties from dispute. And I think this is the important thing. Often a business entrepreneur will go for anything that they can because they need the money. And you will take any offer on the table. And you will end up using the investor's contract to your own detriment upon termination of the contract at the end of the period. That's a problem for you because you end up being bound at the hip for an indefinite period of time and your life is being dictated by a partner. Making investors and risk managers feel that you have reduced the mitigating the risk as much as possible go a long way towards selling your investment offer. So you're going to be on the rack and you're going to be begging and you're going to be dancing and you're going to have your Fred Astaire shoes on and you're going to be doing the waltz with potential investors that are looking to invest in your business. Why should they invest in you and not in the guy down the road? These guys probably see 20 or 30 potential investments in a monthly period. What is making your investment stand out above all the others? Where is the risk to them and where is the blue sky investment to them? If you can articulate that to an investor, you will get the money. And there's a lot of money out there. There's a lot of money out there. But do you want the money on your terms or do you want the money on their terms? The more contingency and planning involved, the lower risk involved for the investor, and therefore the more attractive the investment may appear from them in your business. Let's have a look at what does a partner expect in your business. And I'm going through this in detail to give you a good background, and I've done this for 19 companies that I've owned over the period, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot more really clever people that can give you a lot more information than I can. I'm talking purely from the gut, where I've done this myself. I have done the song and dance. I've been there, and these are hard-learned, horrible experiences that I've gone through. So partner roles. Have a clear understanding of what the managers or officers of the business are authorized to do on behalf of the company. So one of the businesses I had, it was a financial institution, and they put a CapEx seal on anything over 5,000 Rand had to be signed by them or cleared before the payment would happen. Our average purchase was 15,000 Rand. So I was absolutely, with the exception of petty cash, I was absolutely hamstrung. They were also only available for transactions one day of the week. And when you're in manufacturing, you can't wait 3, 4, 5, 6 days for a payment to go through to get stock or raw materials released for you. Or a plane ticket down to Cape Town with a week's accommodation. You're now waiting for that to happen, but your buyer is expecting you there the next day. Now you end up paying for that out of your own pocket to claw it back from the company, and it just ends up being messy. So make sure that those responsibilities are clear. There should be a description of each partner's responsibilities and duties, so that each partner knows what to expect from the other. Furthermore, there should be predetermined consequences for partners not completing their duties. So if you're having a partner that is going to be signing the check and they don't sign the check, what happens? Do you have an authority to override them within 24 hours, 48 hours? Because if you don't, you're going to cost the business. Contributions of capital. What amount of time, money, and assets is each partner contributing to the partnership? This includes the initial contributions as well as additional contributions that may be necessary to continue operating future business as the business expands and as it grows. Are you going to, as an entrepreneur, be spending 18 hours a day running the business for 30 or 40% control in the business? Your partner is spending 3 hours a week in the business, but they're taking the large percentage of the profit out. Have you covered that? Because that leads to serious unhappiness. They're on holiday, you working. They can take holiday, you can't. Because the expectation is that you're running the business and you're doing everything yourself. The rights to distributions, profit, compensation, and losses. What happens if a truck goes missing? What happens to stock on that? What happens if a proof of delivery is missing and you're expecting payment from a retail chain worth 100,000 Rand and it just doesn't come about? Who's going to pay in on that? You just take a loss, or is that coming off your contribution because you're the managing partner? Vote requirements. Which events and decisions will require a unanimous vote on the business partner? It's crucial that your business partner decide the procedure together from the outset. If you need new capital equipment within your company, who makes that decision? Because if you don't have that, it's not going to happen. It's simply not going to happen. Partnership agreement should indicate the events upon which the partnership is to be dissolved and its affairs wound up. What happens if you are running the business and you have a heart attack, or you have a stroke, or you have a motor car accident? What happens then? Who's going to run the business in the case of that? Are you going to be turfed out and you're going to be high and dry? Or is there a way that you can jointly come to an agreement? What happens to your escape clause? If you want out and your partner has made your life so unhappy that you want out of this business, can you walk away, or do you just walk away and lose everything that you've done? Those are the things that you need to have. What happens if your partner goes into liquidation? Does that affect your business? Are they going to come and liquidate your business because your partner has gone into liquidation? And these are the things that as entrepreneurs we don't always take cognizance of, and it bites you when it's too late. A sell or buyback provision or separate buyback agreement. Can you buy back the business from your investor based on projections that you're doing, or on yardsticks, on measurables that you're coming? Or can't you? Is there an expulsion provision? Carefully consider this provision, which is a double-edged sword. The benefit of such a provision is that you can put in writing when a partner can be forced out of the business. What happens if your partner ends up being a drug addict or an alcoholic and is destroying your business? What do you do then? How do you get rid of them? Or do you end up with a passenger in your business that's bad for the image of your business? Miscellaneous provisions. Some examples include a provision for attorney's fees for the non-breaching party. If they win a lawsuit, mediation, or binding arbitration. All these things that have to be put in. So see a lawyer, see somebody competent that can actually make a difference for you. Because if you don't do it, these things come and bite you down the line. Be aware, this is really important. Partnerships are often compared to marriages. When you enter one, you're signing up to mingle your finances. If the business is sued because of something your business partner does, you both have to answer. Even if you weren't aware of it, if you're not careful, creditors and courts can come and take your house. And that you don't want. A partnership, a general partnership. This is the general one that I think everybody will end up going for. A general partnership is the most basic form of a partnership. It does not require forming a business entity with the state. In most cases, partners form their business by signing partnership agreements. Again, if you have a decent partnership agreement, you can do this quite easily. Ownership and profits are usually split evenly amongst the partners, although they may establish different terms in a partnership agreement. In a general partnership, all partners have independent power to bind the business to contracts and loans. Each partner also has total liability, meaning they are personally responsible for all the business debts and legal obligations. A lot of power and a lot of mutual responsibility, but it ensures that everybody operates on a level playing field and doesn't come and bite you when you least expect it. General partnerships are easy to dissolve. In most cases, the partnership dissolves automatically if a partner dies or goes bankrupt, unless they have left their shares to their family. Now you end up with somebody in your business that you didn't want in your business, or if they get divorced, you could end up with the ex-wife's new boyfriend or husband running your business. How would you like that? Would that work? Especially if you had a close relationship to the husband. So those are things that you need to seriously look at. A partnership is like a sole partnership is legally and financially inseparable from its owners. Profits and losses may be passed through the owner's personal income tax for income tax purposes. And this is where you need to have a decent financial expert within your business. Somebody that can understand this, somebody that can say, don't buy your car through the business, buy it in your personal capacity. Don't buy the holiday home in Knysna through the business, because it's actually not going to be yours. It's going to be owned by the business. And when the business fails, you lose it. So you might have a bit of a tax saving in the short term, but in the long term, you're going to buy back your business, your accommodation from, or your vehicle from the business. That might not be ideal. All partnerships provide the advantage of pass-through taxation, which generally results in lower taxes than the business structures such as corporations. And a decent tax consultant in your business will tell you what you can put through the business and what you can't put through your business, what you can legally get away with SARS and what you can't. And one thing that I've stressed to all of you from day one is, if you do not have a decent financial system in your business, don't get into business. It's going to bite you. It is always death and taxes. Those are two things that are going to happen to you. You're going to die and you're going to pay tax. Now you're going to die and you're going to pay tax, and you're going to have a partner taking a lot of your business. A financier, a partner, an angel investor, a bank, somebody. You're ending up on the short stick the whole way through. I wanted to just go through one more aspect here. Okay. Limited partnerships are formal business entities authorized by the court. So you've got to get your business legally listed through the master of the court. They have at least one general partner who is fully responsible for the business, and one or more limited partners who provide money but do or do not actively manage the business. Limited partners invest in the business for funds and are not responsible for debts and liabilities. So you've gone and borrowed money and you've put a couple of million rand into your business through a limited partnership. That is all your responsibility. If the business fails, it's your responsibility. Is it fair? Possibly not. But you had the vision, you had the belief, you took the money, you had the energy, and you were going to make it happen. So now you take the short stick at the end of the day with it. The silent partner limited liability means a limited partners can share in the profits, but they cannot lose more than they've already invested. So if I invested in Amanda's business for 100,000 Rand, and it goes belly up and she owes creditors another $1 million, they can't come after me. I lose my 100,000 that I put in. So from an investor point of view, that's probably the easiest way for me. But for a business owner, that's hard, because that can come after your house and your car and your pension and everything that you built up over your entire life. If they begin actively managing the business, they may lose their status as a limited partner. Okay, so that's important. So if you're having an investor in that's coming and sitting and saying, no, well, I don't think that machinery is correct, or this distribution channel is correct, or this marketing company is correct, and they give their expertise and the business goes down, you, as the original owner, as the brains behind it, can turn around and say, well, I knew this was going to fail, but you had the checkbook, and you made it fail because you dictated and you controlled. So guess what? You're half in for this. You were the knock. But it gets messy if you don't have a decent agreement. Some limited partnerships appoint a limited liability company as a general partner so that no one has to bear unlimited personal liability in the business. And this is where your tax practitioner should come in and give you this expertise. Let's have a look at it in a little bit more detail. A limited liability partnership. A limited liability partnership operates like a general partnership with all the partners actively managing the business, but it limits their liability for one another's actions. Excuse me. Partners still bear full responsibility for their debts and legal liabilities of the business, but they are not responsible for errors and omissions of their fellow partners. And that is a big saving grace to you and something that you might need to consider. Limited liability partnerships often limit to certain professions such as doctors, lawyers, and accountants. Again, draw up a decent contract and know where you are going. And it doesn't end. This just carries on going. A brief summary. There are 3 significant reasons why limited liability contract is such a perfect entity for partnership. 1, it's a limited liability. The protection shields you from the acts of your partner and vice versa. So if your partner starts going out and gambling, or your partner has a drug problem and starts winding the money, the cash flow, you are protected in that. The operating agreement and its corresponding initial minutes and formation documents are fantastic documents to define all the partners' terms and conditions. The flexibility of the limited is beneficial for allocating profits, losses, and capital, as well as for allowing individual partners to do their own tax planning. Everybody's business is different. Everybody runs their lives in a different manner. And what you might find important for your financial means doesn't mean that it's going to be your investor or your partner's same interest. Partnership management tips, communication and document. As the big business partnership evolves, And it always happens in the honeymoon phase. Everybody stands around and they shake hands and the money passes and everybody's happy and we're going to make a killing and this is going to be great. But the first day you've done a 25 or 26-hour stint and somebody hasn't done anything, then all hell hits the fan. And now we are complaining. So it's a record of and document anything that's contrary to the initial partnership's operating agreement. A good partnership operating agreement will allow for revisions due to changing circumstances, but these should always be in writing and signed by each of the business partners. So don't assume. If you're assuming, there's place for somebody else to hide. Be involved in your business. Don't ever think a partnership is a turnkey operation. It's dynamic. People who aren't in constant communication with their partners will soon find themselves on the outside and in a dispute. Clearly understand your duties and responsibilities and fill the expectations of your partners or readdress them, because things go wrong, things change, whether we like it or not. It doesn't always run smoothly. Bookkeeping and tax deposits. Don't cut corners on bookkeeping and finance. And I've stressed this from the very first session that I've done. This is the lifeblood of your business and will determine when and how your profits are distributed. Making sure your tax deposits are made on time and in the right amounts is also the backbone of good tax planning in your partnership. Beware of phantom income, which is income from the partnership that exists on paper but has no corresponding distributions. This can wreak havoc in a partner's business. And your tax planner and your bookkeeper and your accountant will not be able to put the two together. And that's going to bite. Where do you get money from? This is, I think, why a lot of people have joined and why I wanted to give the background on this. Money is available all over. Money is freely available if you have a decent business plan. If you have a plan that people understand and people can buy into, you will not have a problem getting capital. The problem is how many companies I deal with that I'll ask, what do you do? And it takes them 20 minutes to explain to me what they do in the business. And then I look at it and I say, I'm totally lost. Let's just go back a step. Are you a manufacturing concern or are you a marketing concern? Are you offering services? What are you actually doing? Or are you acting just as a middleman? And a lot of head scratching goes on. They say, well, we don't really know, but, we make good money. It's a disaster. It's an absolute, and it's not isolated cases that comes about. So obviously one of the first things is ask family or friends for capital. Now, I think the dynamics of your family will indicate whether you're going to ask your family for money. And is your family the type of people that will never let you sleep knowing that you owe them money, which is going to put mental strain on you and your wife or your partner's relationship? My dad lent you the money. My mom gave her hard-earned pension. Is that going to break down the business purely for that? Friends in business, friends and money. Guys have a lot of success with those. I haven't seen that. You can apply for a small business loan through your bank. Money is available there. You can consider private investors. So if you needed an amount of 10,000 Rand, would it be realistic to go to 10 investors and ask 1,000 Rand and give them each 2% share in the business? Would that be a realistic penny listing within your company? On the agreement that this is money that I'm going to be using, it's capital risk that you're putting down, but it's $1,000. Come on, we'd spend that on dinner one evening. Invest in my business, help me get ahead. Would that be possible? Contact business schools or schools in your field of work. Business schools are often looking for practical case studies. Wits Business School is one, where they take a company and they invest in a company and they use that company as example through their executive development program or their MBA studies or the case studies that they're doing. That might be an opportunity for you. Try crowdfunding. A lot of crowdfunding platforms available. I invest in crowdfunding on a regular basis. I get a discount on a product with an upward potential in it, and I can put anything from 500 Rand to 200,000 Rand in it. And it's a risk that I'm prepared to take based on the business proposal within that company. But it's easy to administer, and if I do take a bath on it, it's small money. This is really important. This is really, really, really important, guys. Make sure you need money and accurately assess how much. There is nothing worse than saying, if I need 100,000, I can get this business up and running, and you're going back in 3 weeks' time saying that 100,000 wasn't enough. I forgot about 60,000 Rands worth of packaging costs that I hadn't put in. So if you don't give me the 60,000 Rand, we're going to fail. The whole business is gone. It's sunk before it gets off the ground. Make sure that your business plan takes into all the aspects of your cash flow. Paperwork, get a lawyer. Draw up an agreement before you do anything. I personally thought I had smart people in my life. They ended up selling a company that I had to Bacoma for the region of 37 million Rand. I walked out with debt. They walked out with 37 million Rand in their pockets because I did it on a handshake. If you don't like your business partner, don't take money from them. They are going to hound you. You're going to get to the situation where you don't want to go to work because you've got, excuse my language, a pain in the ass on your backside all the time. Don't do it. Don't give unrealistic expectations. Downplay your upside return on your investment. Don't make it look like, you put in $1 million and I'm going to give you back 20 million Rand in 3 years' time. Because if you don't, you're going to be paying them for that money. Financial discipline from all parties. Money in the bank doesn't mean it's money that you can go and spend. It's not your money. The company owns the money. You have a right to some of that money based on your formula, but it's not all your money. Don't go on the fancy holidays and things. And an important one, what happens if you can't repay the money? What is plan B? Can you sell your partner's shares to recoup that money, to give them back the investment that they initially made in it? Because if you can't do it, your house is on the line. I'm not going to go through all of these. I've put them all in. They are available for you on the presentation, but there's a lot of funding operations that are out there. And you're going to hear a lot of sob stories, and you're going to hear a lot of people that have got good and bad stories about any of these. One of the first businesses that I went through with business partners, and they gave me a facility of 4 million Rand. My partner at that stage decided that a Bell Range helicopter was a better option than repaying the money. He was controlling the finances through a finance company. And the first I knew that things were wrong was when business partners walked in and said, "We've come to take stock of all the assets here, we're selling off everything." And I said, "What is going on?" And they said, "Well, you haven't repaid the loan for the last 3 months." Fortunately, we resolved it, and business partners were very understanding, and they were really good partners, but they're really involved in your business. They had a look at the monthly financials every single month. They gave a lot of guidance. They helped me a lot in the business, and they sort of taught me the initial of being a business entrepreneur, of knowing what money in a business is. And that's hard for an entrepreneur to understand. So there's a few of them there that you can have a look at. There is money available. There's drafts that are available. But all of these things based on the jockey. If you are capable of selling your idea via a business plan that is articulating your business clearly, I will guarantee you of getting the money. There's some more. There's a crowdfunding. There's Kickstarter. There's lots of these. You can click on these. That'll give you the amount of money that these guys are up about, what they're looking for, the return, the costs that you're in for, depending on how much money, what your payment terms back to them are, whether it suits you to be a business partner or just an investor. You need to decide on what you're wanting. There's some more. Lululand, we've got a couple of clients that have been through them. Very good. But again, if you can't make your payment, don't take the money. Guys will come after you. They'll get their money. So no matter who funds your business plan is the alpha and the omega of your business. If you do not have a decent business plan that explains where your business is, where you are going to go, what the returns are, what the pitfalls are, what the SWOT analysis is in your business, you shouldn't be going out to look for finance, because you're gambling with somebody else's future as much as your own. So you need to have a look at all those things. That they're really, really important. Great. That's the end of my presentation. Quibus will share it with everybody, so please feel free to use it, go through the details, click on the links, have a look at them. Drop me a mail, give me a call, whatever you'd like. You can be successful on this, and it's an easy thing to put together if you know what you're doing. Any questions? Please feel free. While I have another sip of cold coffee.
Yeah, let me see if I can get the people. You're welcome to unmute your mic as well if you rather want to ask a question like that. Or if you have any question in the chat box. I just see Amanda says Lula Land, also one you can add to that list.
It's on page 3, right at the top.
Okay. Yeah,
and so that was thanks to you.
Welcome to unmute yourself if you have any questions that you would love to ask. You're welcome to unmute in the chat box. I'm going to put the link for Compliance Hub in the chat box where you can reach out to Hilton for a meetup or just wanting to have a virtual coffee with him. Okay. I'm going to check. Hilton, from my side, just again, thank you for your time. For those that are on here that don't know, as we taking all of this content that we have been sharing, and we're gonna, I just want to do this. What we will do is we're gonna add all of these recordings together where people will be able to get access to that in the future base. So just know that that's the reason why we're recording. And yeah, is there anyone that would love to maybe make a comment or ask any questions? Shirley, it's nice to see you as well. Ali says thank you very much. Okay. Okay, so Hilton, looks like questions again. Someone just Amanda just said again, thank you once again, great content. I do agree, it's great content. Thank you for sharing your experiences. Andre Rian says great presentation. Thank you, Hilton. Hilton, I think you gave good value today again, and it was important for me. It's important to realize that it's when you choose a partner, you have to choose right, because you might not see it now, but in the future it might actually impact you bigger than what you think it will impact. And I understand sometimes it all starts with a good intent, but you really have to make a choice. It's like getting married to someone.
Sometimes it's easier to get married.
That's true. Sometimes it is. I totally agree with you there. Okay, here comes one, Robert. So there's always a challenge of the business plan, looking so good and so flashy, but in real life, things are different. Hilton, what do you say about that?
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, I've been through business plans for companies for serious capex with hundreds of millions of rands. And all I can say is with a business plan is have a look at it critically. Don't make it look like a blue sky investment, because that's when it bites you. Be realistic with it. Do as much research as you can with it. Don't play with numbers. To play with numbers on a spreadsheet, we all know we can make a spreadsheet look like whatever you want to. Think of the worst case scenario and think of the best case scenario. So be realistic in it. If you think the business is going to fail, what would you need to put in place to prevent it failing? And if you really think it's a blue sky investment, you know, it's always easier in a business plan to overperform and underpromise than to overpromise and underperform, because you're going to be in front of the board or in front of your partners that are going to question your integrity, which you're going to lose. So, you know, to say we'll do R1 million a year turnover when you know in your mind you can do 2 million, do it. And saying it there, use a professional to help you with your business plan. There are tremendous people out there. I know business partners as an example purely because I've been through them. give you a really in-depth business plan, which, if I recall correctly, I didn't even pay for. But they ground me, and that was about a 6-week process of getting that together. Think really hard about what you want the money for, and this is where your business plan is important. It's nice to say I need X amount of money, but what are you really going to use that money for? And if that money is not necessary, don't take it, and rather get it in your business plan that you would need a cash reserve of X amount for unforeseeables, for rand-dollar exchange rates, for petrol price increases, for an increase in travel budget, for an increase in packaging. The rand's volatile in South Africa at the moment, and we don't know where it's going. It doesn't look good. You turn on the television and you see the rand one day at 14 rand and the next at 15 rand 60. If you've got stock on the water at that moment in time, have you built that contingency in, or have you taken forward cover for it? Could you afford to take forward cover on that financing? Petrol goes up again tomorrow by 2 rand a litre, or another rand a litre, and suddenly you're spending an extra 5,000 rand a month on petrol. It doesn't sound like much, but in 4 months' time, that's 20,000 rand out of your cash flow. Don't be, and saying it again there, don't be superly optimistic. Don't make it look so crazy that anybody says this is a no-brainer, because every business I've seen that says it's a no-brainer has ended up being a dead-brainer, and people have failed. Just be realistic, and ask family, ask friends, ask people to criticize it. Get your pitch down to such an extent that you actually believe it and it becomes your way of life.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Hilton. Like Stein says, get a professional to help you with that. And also say entrepreneurs are ultimately super optimistic people. They can only see the sunshine and rarely the dark clouds. So use a pro to help is invaluable. Then Amanda has just said, we should do a kind of a certificate for people that will go through all of the recordings with Compliance Hub's name and logo on it. Professional development proof. Yeah, we will do that. I like that idea. Thank you for that, Amanda. So Darren, will you make a note of that? And then I think someone Shirley said partnerships can be very expensive when there's parting of ways. I think it's the same as getting a divorce. It's sometimes more expensive than getting together. But I think also one thing is with business plans and all of this is you have to think outside of the box. You have to do things differently. Instead of going for one big investor, you can have multiple small investors in the end of the day if your plan is. And instead of convincing someone to give you $1 million, it might be easier to someone to get invest with $1,000. You just need to get 1,000 people to invest $1,000. But you might get that as a better way of getting your business off to the ground. But I think again, test your business idea to someone like Hilton Johnson that has the expertise of someone that has been in multiple businesses from corporate to entrepreneurship. I think that is important. There's, for those who are on here, there's many, and I shared this with someone this morning or yesterday. There's sometimes so many speakers out there that speaks out of theory, but have never run their own businesses. So also be wary of those that you go and listen from. Make sure they've been in businesses and what businesses they have been in to be able to give you that advice. And not just be someone that have read all of the books and now giving you that advice. And that's why I like having Hilton as one of them on, and I see Steiners here as well, is these are guys that have come with experiences. Like when I also need advice, I go to my dad. He started multiple businesses with zero money and built it and had partnerships that didn't work out. So it's important when you get advice out there, be careful who you get your advice from as well. So Hilton is definitely one of those that I will sit around the table with. And I see Steiners here as well. And Amanda is also good in accounting. So get the right people. Okay, Hilton, any last thoughts from you? I know it's almost 1:00 and we'll get back to work. Any last thoughts of you?
I think don't give up. The money is available in this country. There's no question whatsoever. There's a lot of money with the DTI on the grant front. It takes time, but it is available. Don't ask. Learn by other people's mistakes. Don't learn by your own. Your own mistake is going to be a costly mistake. Nobody wants an entrepreneur to fail. Nobody. I can assure you that I currently own, I think it's 12 companies. I've owned probably another 6 or 7 companies over the last 30 years. And by asking people for help and asking people for guidance, people want you to succeed. People want you to be a success. Nobody likes a failure. You cry on your own or you laugh in a group. Um, Listen to your peers, listen to people around you, apply what they say. Don't think you know it all. Um, Finance should not be a limiting factor in your business. If finance is a limiting factor in your business, you're not asking the right questions, or you're not connected with the right people, or you've waited too long and you've got that air of desperation, that air of death about you, where people are saying, "Oh, don't touch this guy with a barge pole." That business is just not going to succeed. This guy's desperate. He's that used car salesman that is trying anything to dump any car, whether it's a 20,000 Rand car or a 200,000 Rand car, on you. He's there for it. So just be careful of those. But ask questions, listen to people, get your pitch right, make sure that the money you want is the money you need, and you'll be fine.
And on that point, what book would you recommend someone read? I see Amanda said Robert, the E-Myth, Revisited by Michael Berger. But if you had to suggest a book, Hilton, which book would you suggest people can start reading?
There are so many out there, Quibus. There are so many. I mean, even if you're not reading books, there are so many real life articles on the internet that are freely available. And I think you're going to read through 20 books that are often conflicting, that often give you really different advice, where people are saying, well, you've got to have the picture of the Porsche on the fridge, and you've got to look at the fridge every day to see the picture of the Porsche. Well, that's great if you haven't got money to pay the water and lights. That's great if you're worrying about putting food on your family's table tonight because you're hemorrhaging money left, right, and center. So I would read through as many of the success stories. I would certainly be on all the blogs of the Richard Bransons of this world and the Bill Gates, people like that's free advice, that's practical advice. A lot of them have helplines as well that you can post questions to, and they'll answer. A lot of successful people out there that will do anything to help you. And books. You go into exclusive books, you're going to stand in front of a bookshelf and you're going to read 1,000 books. America is not, what is that? The E-Myth. Yeah, good one. I think be careful of books that are Americanese, that are American-based. We are not an American institution. Our market is very different to America. We have limited internet access in this country. We've got big distribution charges in this country that are not there. You've got big retainers that are being demanded by retail operators that are not operated. That's not the case in the American market. We have a just-in-time delivery structure in this country. Your service-based is a very fickle market based on you today, maybe not what you're offering tomorrow. Which in America there seems to be a lot more loyalty once you're in with it. So be careful of reading too much into the American things. I find a lot better value in a lot of the British concepts and business ways. But there's a lot. I mean, Quibus, you've had a lot of smart people on here that know everything that there is to know about business in the South African market. Their books are also fantastic.
Definitely, I agree with you. And I think that what I would leave you with is look at what skills you also need. If you think you're not a good salesman, if you will become an entrepreneur, that is the first place also to start. Go read a book about sales. Someone asked about the business plan earlier. Go read about successful people that have created successful business plans. What do you need about that? I think the next one after that, if you're going to present a business plan, is you have to know how to present, you have to know how to sell it. So look at, if you don't know what books to read at, because there's so many, first look at what skills you need, where you are struggling at, and go and find those books to inspire you and give you motivation, and also give you a skill, because nobody can take a skill away from you. And I think, and this is one thing that I take away from Hilton as well. go ask questions, ask the right people questions. I see Stein says here, implementation is the key. You can read all of it, but if you fail to implement knowledge, it won't help you. Totally agree with that. And that's why also be careful not to overwhelm yourself with too many things. There's so many things happening these days online and books, etc., and courses that you can easily overwhelm yourself with too much information, and that will paralyze you. And I think it's to bring into what Stein just said, go learn something and then apply it, implement it, and then you grow that, rather there's enough time. Hey, Hilton, how many years have you been in business? You didn't jump in. It's
I
40
think
years.
for a 60-year-old, far too many years, far too many.
Too many years, but you just didn't jump in. You grew and you got the lessons. And I think one thing that you said out to me is, and my dad also, I learned from my dad is, and you saying the same thing, why go make the same mistakes? Why don't go learn from others that have made the mistakes? And you will get so far more ahead. Learn from others, learn from the Steins and the Hiltons and the Amandas, people that are successful in this world, from it. So again, I just want to say thank you for all of you, your support on this Thursday afternoon. If there's anything you would like,
Just one parting word. Sorry, Quibus, to interrupt you. Analysis by paralysis. Don't spend your life analyzing the business and never getting it off the ground. Don't spend the next 6 months doing all the research and not getting it off the ground. Start if you need to on a small basis and learn by those experiences. I've seen far too many business people that analyze everything every single day through every research method available to them, and the business never gets off the ground. Take the plunge. You're here already. Take the plunge. Dive in.
Yeah, like Amanda said, dance to the music. So Hilton, thank you again. So everyone, you don't have to go through it alone. It's more expensive. Like Stein says, rather come to meetings like that. You have Hilton's details, reach out to them, have a Zoom coffee with him, and I believe he will be able to give you a minute or two. And so why not ask for advice while you can? And who knows what might come from that. Everyone, thank you for this beautiful day. Hilton, thank you again for you. Have a beautiful afternoon, weekend that's coming, and may the Boks win this weekend and give us another thing to celebrate about. But of course, I see there's South Africa shirt behind you, Hilton. So Hilton, have a whiskey on me.
Will do. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Cheers.
Bye.